You've probably heard this before. Spend 50% of your salary on needs, 30% on wants, and save 20% for the future. Sounds simple, right? But what if I told you that this formula is completely outdated? In a world where rent takes up half your paycheck, food prices double within months, and money seems to vanish before the end of the month, who can actually stick to that rule? The 50-30-20 rule belonged to a different era. Today, it might be the very reason you're constantly struggling. But don't worry, there's a new approach. One that's more realistic, more effective, and can help you breathe, live, and still invest. And that's exactly what you're about to discover. The truth is, the world where the 50-30-20 rule was created simply doesn't exist anymore. That formula was born in a time when the cost of living was lower, wages kept up with inflation, and credit wasn't as abusive as it is now. But what do we see today? People spending over 60% of what they earn just on basic needs. Rent, transportation, food, utilities. That's if they're lucky enough to pay everything on time. The margin for wants has all but vanished, and saving has become a luxury for the few. Recent data shows that over 60% of people in the US live paycheck to paycheck. In Brazil, more than 70% of families are in debt. The 50-30-20 rule doesn't reflect this reality. It assumes stability, control, and a predictable economy, which is exactly what most people no longer have. Let's look at a simple example. Imagine someone earns 2,500 Rs a month. According to the rule, they should spend 1,250 Rs on needs, but just renting a modest apartment already costs 1,200 Rs. Add 400 Rs for transportation, 500 Rs for food, 300 Rs for fixed bills, and the total already exceeds 2,500 Rs. And we haven't even talked about leisure or investments. This proves the issue isn't just how much you earn, it's how your money needs to be reorganized. Following a rule that ignores reality only creates frustration. What we need now is a formula adapted to the real world. A formula built for tough times that still makes room to grow, even on a low income. If the old formula ignores reality, the shift has to start with mindset. And that's where the concept that can change everything comes in. Paying yourself first. This means that before paying rent, the electric bill, or even your credit card, you set aside a portion of your salary for your future. Sounds counterintuitive, right? But this is the difference between just surviving and building wealth, even on a tight budget. When you pay yourself first, you're saying, my future self is just as valuable as my present self. And that completely changes how you manage money. A lot of people wait to have money left over before investing, but that leftover never comes. Because spending always rises to match the total amount available. When your paycheck arrives and your balance looks full, you spend without noticing. But when you pull money out immediately, right on payday, that portion becomes invisible. You stop counting on it, and that's where the magic begins. Over time, this habit solidifies and starts bearing fruit. It doesn't matter if you set aside 100 Rs, 50 Rs, or even 20 Rs. What matters is getting started. Consistency matters more than the amount. Let's make that clear with a quick example. Imagine someone sets aside 150 Rs every month on payday. In 1 year, that's 1,800 Rs invested. With compound interest, that amount grows over time. And the best part? You don't even miss the money because it was never there to spend. That's your new starting point. Forget about investing what's left. Start investing before anything else, and build the rest of your budget around that. Now that you understand why the old rule doesn't work anymore, and the power of paying yourself first, it's time to introduce a formula that actually fits today's reality. A more flexible approach that respects modern expenses, daily pressures, and still creates room to invest. This is the idea behind the 15-60-10-15 formula. It may sound complicated at first, but in practice, it's simple, functional, and powerful. Let's break down how it works, and more importantly, why it makes more sense today than the 50-30-20 rule. We start with 15% to pay yourself first. This is the most important part, investing. Whether it's an emergency fund, fixed income account, stocks, mutual funds, crypto, what matters is that this amount is automatically separated. As soon as your paycheck hits your account, This 15% needs to go to a separate, untouchable account. That's how you plant the seeds of your financial freedom. Next, we allocate 60% to essential needs. That includes rent, food, transport, fixed bills, your kids' school, everything needed to keep your life functioning. Notice that, unlike the old rule, this portion increased, and that's on purpose. We recognize that needs consume much more today. So instead of forcing an unrealistic ideal, this formula adapts to what actually happens in your day-to-day life. The next 10% goes to leisure and quality of life. Yes, you still can and should enjoy yourself. Go to the movies, hang out with friends, buy something you like. This keeps your motivation alive and avoids burnout, where cutting too much leads to overspending later. With this margin, you can enjoy the journey without guilt. The final 15% is reserved for education, growth, and emergencies. Courses, books, health, repairs, unexpected expenses. This part is your safety net and growth fund. It ensures that you're not just surviving, but also evolving and adapting. This formula isn't rigid, it's a starting point. And that's the beauty of it. It respects your reality and still moves you forward. You know what the biggest enemy of your financial life is? It's not the lack of money, it's the lack of consistency. And that's why the formula you just learned will only truly work if paired with an automated habit. The truth is, when you have to think about investing every month, your brain finds excuses. This month's tight. I'll do it next time. Just this one little splurge. And then the plan gets pushed aside until it disappears. But when you automate it, you take emotion out of the equation. Investing becomes as routine as paying the electric bill. And that's when the magic really happens. Imagine that on payday, you already have an automatic transfer set up to move 15% of your salary straight into an investment account. You never even see the money, which means you don't feel like you're missing anything. Over time, this becomes part of your system, like brushing your teeth. You don't think about it anymore. You just do it. And the more you repeat it, the easier it becomes. Less friction, fewer decisions, fewer chances for failure. Want a real example? A 24-year-old who automatically invests 300 Rs a month for 10 years will have about 50,000 Rs with average returns. That's with minimal effort, just consistency. Now imagine that same habit running for 20 years, or 30. The difference between those who build wealth and those who just survive isn't about earning a lot. It's about making your money work for you, every month without fail. Automating is like putting your financial life on autopilot to success. Now that your plan is set and automated, it's time for fine-tuning. Smart cuts. And no, that doesn't mean living like a monk. No fun, no coffee, no joy. The idea is simple. Eliminate excesses that don't bring real value and keep what matters. Saving isn't about cutting everything. It's about choosing better, and that completely changes how sacrifice feels. Start with the invisible leaks, subscriptions you don't use, bank fees, apps piling up unused. Just adjusting those can free up 50 Rs or 100 Rs a month. Then look at your habits. Does ordering delivery 3 times a week really need to happen? Or could it become a homemade meal twice a month? Is that expensive phone plan truly necessary? These are simple shifts that add up at the end of the month. Another key move, replace impulse with intention. Every time you want to buy something, wait 24 hours. If it still makes sense, go for it. If you forget about it, it was impulse. That one filter alone prevents countless unnecessary purchases. And remember, the goal isn't to save just to survive. It's to save so you can invest and earn freedom. Cutting what doesn't matter gives you room to enjoy what truly does. Here's the truth. The 50-30-20 rule is dead, at least for anyone living in today's reality. Trying to squeeze your life into an outdated formula is like using an old map in a city that's completely changed. But now, you have a new direction, a formula built for the present, with room to invest, live, and grow. The 15-60-10-15 isn't magic. It requires focus, habit, and awareness. But it's possible. And more than that, it's transformative. If money used to be a source of anxiety, now it can become your ally. You've learned to pay yourself first, to automate, to cut without suffering. This is the new path. And the best part? You don't have to wait. Your next paycheck can be your first step. Start small. Start now. Time is your best partner, and it starts working in your favor the moment you decide to act. The old formula may be dead, but your financial freedom is alive, and it begins with one step. It's all up to you.